Hello, DOYO Livers. You're here with Ross Marone from the This Is Marketing podcast, and today I want to talk about email marketing. Email, one of the surprising mediums for me. I thought for sure that email was going to die when social media took off, but I am surprisingly and shockingly surprised to see that email is still widely used. Now, email is considered to be one of those dark social medias or dark socials that we use. Dark in the sense that it's private, and anything that's private, whether it's Facebook Messenger or Snapchat, those are considered these dark social media channels that we use still as businesses and companies and marketers to reach out to clients and customers and really have a really good communication. But email, at the end of the day, can really make or break a big initiative that you have for your business. And how do you get an initiative, how do you get your email kind of off the ground? So I kind of come up with 5 tips that I like to focus on when I'm building emails for a client or for myself or whatever it is that I think are really important to making sure that you have a successful email marketing campaign and that you're always trying to improve what you do. So step number 1 is choosing the right platform. There's, yes, a million different platforms you can use. You can always just use your native email client to send out emails to a huge list if that's what you're into. But if you use something like Constant Contact or MailChimp, which is actually the case of what I use a lot of MailChimp, there's a lot of benefits for that. But when you're choosing that email client, you have to ask yourself a lot of questions about a business of what it is that you're trying to achieve with your emails. Are you trying to just inform people about things? Are you, like in the foodie crave sense, are we sending recipes to people, or are we telling them about new products that join our site? So you're choosing the client, or choosing the email client is very important. What I like to do is make a list of all the things I want to achieve with it. As we'll get into, I like to A/B test things. I like to make sure that my subject lines are eventually good. So A/B testing is a big part of that, and A/B testing the actual content of the page is important too. So making sure that the email client allows me to do that. Something that has integrated list building, so something that's very easy for me to build a list, whether that's through my social media or through my website or through a form that automatically drops people into an email list. But not only that, segmented email list is important too. So if I'm trying to capture people to send them different emails, I want to make sure that the email client allows me to do that. A perfect example would be if I want people that have bought from me to fall into a certain list automatically, I can have that set up on my front end where it integrates into the email client. Or if I just want people that want to receive a newsletter from me, because I should treat those two lists differently from one another. And then the last thing I want to do is make sure that I can actually put a lot of content in. So if I want to put video content, images, make sure that my brand's throughout that email, that is something important that I need to ask of that email list, or of the email client that I'm choosing. So first step is choosing the right email client. I wouldn't say that there's one that's better than another. You're going to find a lot of services from each of them that really holds a lot of value individually, but make sure you're answering the questions of things you like. The second step that I like to do is make sure that I build my email list slowly. As we talk about with social media, slow growth is always the best kind of growth. I could have 1 million subscribers and followers, but if I don't have people that are engaging me and interacting with me, then that doesn't matter. The same goes with your email list. I can have 10,000 people that follow me on my email list and get my emails from me, but if they're not opening it and they're not converting, then there's no reason to even have that list. So slow growth is better. So how do we build really good lists? Well, you want to get people and qualify them as subscribers where they're engaging you. So if that's on Facebook, or if that's on your social media channels, or even on your website, if that is the place where they're engaging with your content and your business, then that is the best place to capture them. I would never recommend buying any type of list ever. I know that feels good to buy a list and say that, I just got 10,000 subscribers and I paid $5,000 for it. But that list is not going to give you really good conversions. And when it comes to emailing, it's not going to give you good open rates. You're going to have high bounce rates, and it's not going to be a good list. And at the end of the day, it's going to be money that was not well spent. So slow growth on the email building. Danny Catullo, who I got his logo here, so I better get some bacon out of this. He has a sign-up sheet, and you see this with a lot of small businesses. They just have a sign-up sheet right next to their checkout counter. And that list has really good open rates and has really good engagement rates. So something like that is a perfect example of grabbing people where they're engaging with you at. So that's the second step is making sure you're slow building that list. And in the long run, a lot of work put into it, you'll have really good impact on your brand and you'll have really good conversions. Third is A/B testing. So I mentioned this already. A/B testing is super important to me. We A/B test a lot of things when it comes to marketing and branding, whether it's an image or it's a logo or it's a color or a font. We do this because we want to find the best one to use that has the highest engagement. In the Facebook advertising and Google advertising worlds, when we build ads, we usually double up. So we'll write one ad, and then we'll write an ad that's very similar with different wording or has a different image or has a different call to action. And then we spend money behind that and place them out into the world and see how they work. Now, thank God these programs are smart enough to actually regulate those for us. So as one starts to outperform another, it'll actually show that more to users. That happens pretty quickly. But what we do, part of the A/B test, is we go back and we rewrite the bad ad to try to beat the good ad. And as we do a couple cycles of this, we get to a point where we have a really solid ad, an ad that really works well for us, and it has the highest engagement, it has the highest click-through, and it's a very simple step, and it's a practice that we should be doing anyway. In email land, we want to make sure we're doing the same thing. So as we are able to find a client that allows us to do that, and MailChimp's a perfect example, they do, you can actually change the subject line, and you can eventually change content of the email itself and send that out to the same group or the same email list. And what happens is after a week or two, when you have people that open it and engage with it, you can see which one performed better. And then you go through and you take the little bits of it that worked. If we're strictly A/B testing subject lines, what we're doing is finding words that really get high open rates. We want an email subject because don't forget that space that we're engaged in. There's a lot going on in somebody's inbox. So we want to make sure that we have an email subject line that captures their attention, and testing, that's the best way to do that. When we get into the actual content of the email itself, it may be, what do we show first? Are we showing a logo? Are we showing a graphic of some kind that's eye-catching, that's clickable, that sends them somewhere? Do we have text? Is there a lot of text in the body right away? Trying those two different things and seeing which one maybe gets clicked, because ultimately when the planning stages, we want to make sure that our emails are actually going to something. We want to make sure there's a call to action or there's some conversion metric in play. Putting that in different spots of the email and seeing how that interacts and how it's engaged with is a form of A/B testing. So we can A/B test so many elements of the actual email, but we could also test that against lists, and that's kind of number 4 of this, which is being able to segment lists out. You hear a lot about what are your open rates, and that's it. At the end of the day, what's the open rate of your email? Well, that to me doesn't matter as much as conversion rate, because if I have a 100% open rate and a 0% conversion rate, then I don't care about the open rate. But as we get into lists and we get into the ability to build an email list, a mail client should allow you to create segments of that list. So after I send 10 emails from a business where I have 1,000 subscribers, if I'm only getting 20% open rate, I want to be able to segment out those 20 people or those 20% to keep opening it up and build a new list with them, because I know that when I'm looking for conversions, that's going to be the list that I can send to and know that I'm going to get something out of it. And yeah, my open rate's going to be high with them because they're always converting or they're always opening. But then it allows me to use that 80% that isn't engaging with me as much as I want them to or opening up as much as I want to, and to work on them. So I'm going to send different content to both lists. I'm going to send a different subject line to the 80% that aren't opening to try to converting them to the 20%. And if you practice that and you're able to build these segments, then what you're going to end up with at the end of the day is really good lists to convert for you and your business. You might find that you have a high open rate on a list that has a certain subject because the people are interested in that subject line. Maybe it's about a product or something. What we want to do is make sure that we take that list and that we are able to convert them over more and send them more relevant content around that subject that they like, because they're going to open it more. The other thing about that with the segmenting and the A/B testing is we're building something, we're sending something that they're used to opening. We're sending them something that they want to see, and there's that expectation of what our emails are to them. And that's all part of the whole email marketing and branding at the end of the day, is making sure we're giving people what they expect. And once you do that very well, then you're going to have really good high open rates, engagement rates, and click-through rates, and that's where it really works for email. The last thing is being able to brand your email. As we're branding emails, we want to make sure that, again, as we're looking at logos and taglines and tone and voice and the way that we represent our business anywhere in our advertising and marketing efforts, we want to make sure that we're branding our emails the same. Where's the first interaction with your customer or with that subscriber with your brand? How do they know it's from you? Is it the from address? Is it the subject line? Is it the first thing they see when they open up the email? All very important things, but you want to make sure, going back to step number one of choosing the email client, that you're able to do that. You're able to put a lot of really good content in that will not only represent the content you're talking about, but it represents your brand. So if you do that well, if you start some of these steps, you're going to see that you can build a better list. And by doing that, you're going to have higher engagement, you're going to have higher open rates, and it takes time, so you have to be patient with this whole process. But doing these things over and over again is really going to give you a strong email marketing presence for your business. So as always, thank you, Dennis, for letting me do this on the DOYO Live. You can follow me on social media at Ross Marone on Twitter and at This Is Marketing on Facebook and on Instagram. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.